What's going on, Alamo City Movie Talk fans? As always, I'm your host, Ryan D, aka Ryan680.
I'm Kristen.
And I'm Frankie.
And this is Lex.
Here it is, guys. We're at the King's table, the first of his name. What was it? I mean, we just got done watching season 2, episode 1 of House of the Dragon. If you haven't already guessed it by now, we did a recap real quick right before our pre-show. Now this is the after show, guys, and let's get right to it. You know, what would he call himself? Aegon? What was his friend called him? The
Mongolian?
Dragon cock.
Yeah, it was that too. But
crazy adjectives are being thrown around.
Mongolian,
more infinite. More. They said something.
I guess
magnificent. No, they said something weird.
It was crazy.
Yeah,
I
it was
guess
just weird.
My first question for all of you guys: is this worth the 3-year wait that we waited? What do you think?
Yeah.
For a starter?
Yeah, like was
think so.
3 years since we've been
3
season
years.
1. I honestly thought it was pretty good. This is pretty good.
I predicted correctly,
Yep.
as I am always right. That the episode would be.
Here we go.
Here we go.
I'm just saying,
come
it's
the book
recorded.
readers.
But
Push
yeah,
the glasses
so
up.
it was
Push the
all
glasses up.
dialogue, and then it ended to death. However, I guess I shouldn't say I'm always right because I was wrong about the death. About halfway through the episode, though, I was like, "Oh crap! I know who's gonna die now," and I was wrong.
Yeah.
It was not Joffrey, of course. It was Jaehaerys Targaryen, which
Yeah.
happens a little bit later in the book, but I like that it was in this episode. I think it ended really well, and I think it's really going to, if the war was not already triggered, now it really is going to be triggered.
Oh, yeah.
Because now there's death on both sides.
A son for a son.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. I think also like Team Green this entire time had opportunities to sort of apologize for what happened at the end of season 1. And no efforts whatsoever were made to do any sort of apology or any sort of, let's come together. It was a mess up. They just sort of left it. And that's on their own. Now they're going to, I think, they're going to pay for that.
I think there was a small mention of, like, Alicent, like, sending letters to Rhaenyra, but, like, and then someone, like, from the council was like, oh, what? Like, you're upset she didn't answer to your apology for killing her son? Like,
yeah.
You know, so I think maybe an attempt was made, but it's too late. It seems like it's just. I mean, that's just a natural reaction of like they're not even gonna read the letter.
Sending
like,
a letter is not like it's not like
No,
I'm gonna send a
that's
text.
like-
Hey, sorry,
Yeah.
bro, I killed your son. Like, no, that's not gonna.
It's not going to
No.
fix. It's not going to fix things.
And
Yeah.
even though it wasn't Alicent herself, I think it's just every step has kind of been the domino, right? And I think we're at that part where the pieces are falling, and everyone's just kind of trying to come to terms to, hey, we need to stop pretending that this is not going to end with violence. And like, I like that theme overall. It's kind of like an opener for season 2. Was it worth the wait? I think so. Like, you know, you can still see the level of craft, you know, the picture. And I don't know if it was just Ryan's TV, but like everything looks pretty solid. Pretty. Like, I think there were some opening shots too that I was looking at, and like I saw those shots and I was like, man, like this is like.
Yeah.
I look back to like season 1 of the OG, like the Game of Thrones, and I'm like, man, like we've really pushed forward in the way that not only we shoot these things, but I think there's a lot of creative like world building that happens behind the camera. So it's really awesome
I'd be
see.
curious to see how much money that they spend per episode on this series.
Oh yeah, we can talk.
And
Kristen
not to
can look
get
that
off-
up real
Find
quick.
up.
Yeah,
Kristen can look that up for us real quick.
Thank you. And
then,
not to get off on a tangent, I'm not going to mention any of their show because we're talking about one show today. I wish all TV shows at this point could be the level that House of Dragons being able to deliver on, especially the
but
amount
then
of money.
why would it not stand out? I mean, it won't stand out as much.
I know,
You what
but
I'm
the amount
saying?
of money that we're throwing at
Yeah.
TV, because TV's there now.
Yeah.
If other shows could
Yeah.
do what House of Dragons doing,
Well, see,
they would be talked about it.
I would say the difference is because the business model here is that, you know, like Disney Plus, Peacock, all that, you know, movies, TV shows that go straight to streaming, they don't get any money off of them. They're not going to the box office. They don't get any money. So I would argue with that, saying like TV shows, they don't make money, but here's the thing with House of the Dragon and with Game of Thrones, they break TV records insanely. It's always this one and Yellowstone, who are always competing every single year, and it's still crazy how Yellowstone's still not in production the next season. But anyways, it's these two TV shows are so iconic that people recognize them on both sides of the, whether you're a farm, whether you're an American, whether you're just into fantasy like this is. I feel like these two TV shows are just fantastic, and they have millions of views every single week. That's the thing too. We talked about this because I think we talked about it. We're at the Airbnb. Was that commitment? TV shows are a commitment. Would you not agree? Their commitment.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Versus a movie, what's an hour and a half, 2 hours. Mainly movies now are like 2.5 hours, close to 3 hours now. So like, granted, you got to be stuck in. So Game of Thrones, it's gonna be pretty much like 8 hours. Like it's 8 episodes, which I'm pissed off about, but whatever. It's 8 episodes. I wish it was 10, like it was last season. But yeah, no. I mean, I feel like that with going back into this series and everything, I feel like that Allison, the communication has always been an issue. Even season 1. The communication's been terrible here. Or like
between characters,
between everybody,
yeah,
like between
yeah.
I mean, even between Viserys, between Rhaenyra, especially between Rhaenyra and Alicent. Like when we first see them in the beginning, it's like they're best friends. They're talking to each other about everything, and then of course it all started when Alicent should have told her like, "Hey, I'm gonna be marrying your dad," or like when I felt like, "Hey, come on, I mean, just come on and say it. You know, I'll be marrying your dad. It's duty. You know, whatever." And I feel like that would have changed a lot of it. But again, hey, this is the point of the story. This is the song of fire and ice. Mm-hmm. All right, okay, yeah, fire and ice. I was gonna say fire and dance. I don't know why. it just had a little charm. I don't know. But anyways, needless to say, the shots in here are great. I love how they really use the scenery of where they're at. I love that because we see that a lot more. And then from a distance, you can always see like a dragon or something like that. And so, but yeah, no, the dragons here actually, it looks very, very detailed as much it was last season. Of course, Matt Smith,
the other Matt,
yeah.
Matt Damon makes a special appearance.
He plays the dragon.
Yeah. He's in a play in this one.
He's like Vin Diesel to Groot, like just the voice.
So one of the things I'm interested in, because we got to see a little bit more dynamic with him, I'm actually very interested to see what his character is going to pull out this season, and knowing the stakes that he did already in this episode. I mean, paying off those people just to kill the son. That's just crazy.
She's just boiling spoilers over here because she's read the book.
Please don't.
Yeah,
she's
I'm not
boiling
gonna
with
spoil
spoilers.
I know
over
some
here.
minor stuff, but like not everything.
Oh, okay.
It's good because she read the book.
We'll spoil the episode, but not the books.
I like what
no, but the books are totally different from the shows. They are.
What I think she knows, and I know bits
no
of it. Like
no spoilers.
No, I know.
No, this is a spoiler episode. But yeah.
Like, I don't think they'll change that. But look, I was about to say, like, I do like that they still kind of keep you on your toes in the sense of like she expressed, like the order of things could be slightly different. Sometimes there are true like decisions that get changed. So I do like that, even book readers can still have that fulfillment of like experiencing something new and maybe from different perspectives and things like that. But I think like what you're saying, like a lot of it, just this is kind of where. There's always been drama with the show and stuff like that, but I think we're heading towards that peak, and where we see that all these decisions are obviously leading to something.
I feel like that this season they know the deaths, and I feel like we're not going to get all the deaths this season. What Kristen knows about, because it's just there's too much. I already googled it. There's just too much happening. So I got the Spark Notes version of it, and the thing is though is that like I feel like that they're not going to do it in the order that's in the book. I feel like they're not.
No, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm totally for like making changes and additions, but and especially in this situation, like I said, the source material is a history book, so there's not dialogue. There's a little bit, but like not to the extent of like the source material of A Song of Ice and Fire, which has dialogue and you're inside people's heads and you're seeing how they're thinking, where this is like literally a maester who's just like, some people saw this happen and here's some speculation. It's like,
so there's a lot to fill in.
A lot. And so it's really cool to actually see it come to life. It's like reading about the Revolutionary War, and we only know what happened because of source material, and now it's like we get to see it, and we get to see the way people were thinking and the way they were reacting to things, and how they were approaching these things. And also, like, for example, so going to and by the way, it's $20 million an episode.
Per episode?
At least that was, it doesn't say season 2. It says season 1 was $20 million in episodes. I'm assuming it's probably about the same.
Probably
for
even
season
more
2.
because of how
so 160 million. So this is season 1 was 160 million. Or no,
200 million.
No, it's 200 million.
10,
yeah. So 200 million. Star Wars Acolyte was 160 million dollars. That's all I'm saying. That's
the point I was trying to make earlier. Is like how people can use money to make the world big as opposed to make the world feel small.
They should have used $1 million of that dollars just to give all those actors lessons on what Star Wars is.
The writers.
Leave that in there.
The writers for sure. The writers.
What was I gonna say?
Oh, I will say, I think, okay, so from a logical standpoint, my only critique of this episode is the very end of the lack of guards that is in a castle.
Yeah.
So, like, I really liked how
we
it was
talked
all
about this.
set
The
up.
guard was begging Allison. He was,
But you don't have just one. You don't just have one guard.
This is wartime.
That's all
like,
they could trust. I mean, they all chose Rhaenyra. I mean, what's his name? The guy that likes feet. He said, "I got rid of everybody." He even said it. Did he not say it? I got rid of the staff. I got rid of everybody.
Well, he said, "I replaced the staff."
Yeah, well, he killed him.
I think the staff, but also like, I mean, granted, like some stuff of the story had to take place to make it go forward. But I don't like when a story has to like put logic in the back seat so that it can progress.
Exactly.
So I think logically speaking, that's my only critique here is that the rat catchers shouldn't have been given access to
how easy
the
it was.
royal family as easy as they were without some sort of guards at the door.
I feel like
you know what I'm saying?
I mean, it goes back to where like there's. I feel like that they're so. I don't want to say naive, but it's like this is King's Landing. You know, no one has ever done this before either. So no one has ever assassinated a son of a king.
There's got to be, like you're saying. I think there's got to be reasons for writers.
They thought they were invincible.
Yeah, they thought they're invincible. I mean, come on. And then
that's probably what the writers would say too. Is like they were so arrogant that they didn't think they needed these guards.
Look at what Aegon passed by his own son's killer. I mean, they passed by him and he didn't even blink anything. He didn't question.
The king's
just drunk right there. I'm all like, dude, you don't question how that big tall mother. It's just, I mean, come on, man, come on, dude.
They got a dog in the throne room. He doesn't care.
Like,
he's talking about his own private.
Yeah, it's like, exactly. With his or this entourage of his. I think it was like 3 of them. So it's like, it's just so naive for the king because the king was just right there. They even freaked out because the king was like right there at the throne, and they're like, "Oh no, we just."
But he didn't even notice.
Yeah,
so,
no, he didn't. Because what did he say? What did the rat catcher say? Or the guy? He's like, "Don't look at him. Look down. Keep your head down." Yeah,
but they didn't even notice that they entered.
They didn't question him, and the guards too. The guards were right there. They were right there where the Iron Throne was at. They were right there in front, and they were just standing right there.
You know, that could be an excuse of why the guards weren't there, is they were drunk with the king. You know, I guess.
So let's talk about Aegon the First entirely, because it seemed like this season was going to be focused on us trying to make us hate Aegon the First, which is what we kind of talked about in the pre-show. But honestly, this first episode in our introduction to adult Aegon the First was actually really good. Like, he was trying to help people, and then he was being told, like, no, you can't do that because we need these sheep for the dragons. So it's kind of like, you know, I honestly didn't see anything I didn't like about Aegon the First, and of course, obviously this is probably going to set him off, and now he's going to be the psychotic king that hates everybody. So maybe this was that character arc, but
because he was already spoiling his children, and now one of the children got rat caught. So now,
well, but it does show progression, especially from last season, because if I recall correctly, like he was very much in the position of like not wanting the throne at all. He was getting drunk all the time. I mean, once he's still drunk here, but he was at least showing up. I remember, if I recall correctly, like in season 1, like people couldn't even find him because he's like, I don't fuck this. Is not my job. This is not the job. I think he even offered it to his brother. With when I'm sorry about the names, guys. It's like, you know, I saw a post on Facebook that said like, you can't spoil House of Dragon for me because I don't know the names, and I find that accurate. But it's but it is.
I mean, the scenes, even we even talked about even the scenes that we talked about. He was jacking off, and then he raped that girl, and he was just he raped the girl.
Wait, what are you talking about?
In season 1.
Oh, okay.
Season one heavy.
Little David Tennant's son being all naughty.
It kind of took a turn. I'm sorry.
I
was just like,
that was his scenes. He had like 2 scenes. He was jacking off on top of them. Alice, his mother, caught him doing that. I was like, wow, okay,
yeah,
cool.
No.
All right,
I remember that, but that was the kid version. Like,
yeah.
But it shows that level of progression where at least he's stepping up to the plate now. He is, for the politics side of things, you can see like he's not taking it as seriously, but for the people, he was trying to show up. And there's obviously a lot of political things, but you know, this is where we got an episode and we got a scene where, you know, the advisor, the guy that likes feet, I just don't remember his name. I remember his wants, but not his name. But trying to sway him.
We'll just say that.
Trying to sway him away.
The guy that likes feet. We'll say that.
Trying to
first of his name.
He's trying to sway him from the the advice that he's currently getting by the Hand, which is Otto Hightower, and just kind of leading him down in a path where it's like, hey, maybe a good way to kind of be your own man is like not have the same advisor as your dad did, right?
Yep.
And obviously,
he's planting that seed.
There's his own reasons for that as well. But I just like that once again, aside from them putting us in the story as like, the results of the death of Rhaenyra's son, we're also starting to see like, okay, like what are going to be the fruits for the rest of the season, right?
Yeah.
So I like that this first episode. I think did good on both, kind of setting the tone, kind of letting us breathe in the air of like how last season ended, which was tough. And this episode ended just as tough as well.
So
right?
we were close. He's actually called the Clubfoot. We were very close. Lord Larys.
So Clubfoot.
Okay, well that's his name.
Yeah, but it does say
Clubfoot is just his nickname because Ben.
We were close though.
Yeah. It's not
had foot in there. Had feet.
Not too far off.
He's all like, my feet are ugly. Let me look at your feet. Oh,
it's neat when you look at these episodes. It's like I think.
Yeah.
If you paid attention during like Shakespeare time in your English classroom in high school or college, like you start seeing very Shakespearean things take place in these episodes. Just it's Shakespeare with dragons, but more plain English at play, and it is so good. It is so good to see all this in action. So like, that
speaks to the craft of like storytelling.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like, a lot of it plays in a similar way, and seeing the different contexts, like you said, like this one is like with dragons is cool because you can see. I imagine this episode is gonna have a ton more dragons. I remember first season they were kind of like shying away from it, kind of reserving some of the budget, and on this one, I mean, they gave us a couple different shots. While it's not like the money shots themselves, I think they're also setting the tone in that regard. As like, they're revolving around this, and now every single conversation when it comes to these negotiations is like, hey, like you might do better with like a dragon, right? Like
and all the detail they put even into these like side dragon shots just flying over, like the sound design, especially. Like, I think
and see that was
Ryan here's got a great sound system going on in this house. But you can really hear like the amount of detail that they really put into these shots, and it really matters. Like a show that cares about every single millisecond of frame that they're going to show you was cared about, and they talk about really put effort into. Yeah, and you see that, and that's why the show is so great. Is because they put so much effort into every little thing that you see and hear.
Yeah, and they talk about that a lot in season 1, behind the scenes stuff, which I'm a nerd for all that stuff. It's literally like a green screen. It's like a green. The dragon itself, it's like all green screen. It's a green like almost like a mount, and they get on it, and the only thing that's real, of course, is the actual the saddle. I'm sorry. Yeah, the saddle part's the only thing that's real. It's so cool. If you watch all the behind the scenes stuff, which I do recommend, they really were like, we're spending a lot of money on the special effects of the dragons because this is the age where dragons are everywhere. They really wanted to do that a lot, and obviously by spending $200 million on season 1, it's just inevitable. It's like they wanted to really excavate that and really just like elaborate on, hey, this is not Game of Thrones. I mean, this is Game of Thrones, but like it's an age where it's like 200 years before Game of Thrones, and so like we're at an age where dragons are just like every other thing versus like how Game of Thrones was, where dragons were non-existent and they were just rare to see and everything. But I really enjoyed that a lot. One of the things I want to also say I really enjoyed was Rhaenyra's Dragonstone's table, which I loved a lot. I really love that, the table where they get to see like where all the map of Westeros and all that, where it's all lit up. That was really cool.
I think seeing like we saw that first in Game of Thrones. Like I say OG Game of Thrones, but I guess it's like but just Game of Thrones. But seeing it in this context where it's I forget, it's hundreds of years before, and it's more lively there, right? Like it's actually being used. Before it almost felt like just a relic that they did kind of revive in a sense, but seeing it within the context of like, hey, this is still kind of where they're posted up, and then things are happening here, right? Like this is where the part of the claim to the throne is posted up, and I like that, as well as the scene where we see her in, and we while I was watching this, so okay, for Rhaenyra only has one line here, and we saw that on the director's commentary and stuff like that. I think I didn't process it while I was watching that it was like a single line, but I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But I do remember like when she delivered it, like in the moment in that scene, which the line was like, I want his name,
Aemond,
that's Aemond. Aemond, I want Aemond Targaryen, and obviously for killing her son. And that's the only line that she delivers. But when I was processing that, I was like, that was such a great moment. Like, even though it's just a line being spoken, the way that
the deliverance of
the way that the actor portrayed it, it was just beautifully done. Where, like I said, I didn't count that was going to be the only thing said, but I felt like that line said so much, and even the way that it was expressed, like, and looking back at it, I'm not mad at all that she only had one line. Because it was so well done, and that was the poster that you saw. Because you saw the poster of or not the poster, but the thumbnail of the episode is like, oh, she's already right.
Yeah,
like
she's
already crying. Yeah, and it was in that scene.
She's grieving.
Like, man, it was just captured perfectly. Like, kudos to the actor for like doing an incredible job in that delivery, and it's even more momentous that it was just the only thing that was said.
And then also, like, I do want to really emphasize as well before we end this episode here is that, Game of Thrones, I've looked it up. Again, this is just popular TV shows, The Bear, all TV shows aside, all the most popular ones out there. Game of Thrones has been the one where they have the most women directors that really direct the most one of the most episodes, if not even the amount of male episodes. And I gotta admit though, every single time, you can even go back to the Game of Thrones era where there is women directors in there, and I love that because you get to see them all the behind the scenes stuff. But more so, the Red Wedding was directed by a woman. There's a lot of superb moments in the series that are directed by women, and it's like, we need more women directors. I'm always 110% behind that as always. And so Game of Thrones is definitely one of those ones where I feel like that the most violent scenes, at least I would hope, because last season it was like that too, where it would be directed by a woman and all that stuff. And not really, because I love it, because you get to see a different point of view at the same time. Yeah. And then also you get to see, like, this season, there's 2 women directors that are directing I looked it up, about 2 episodes each. So that's really cool. Hopefully those are those monument episodes where like something really cliffhanger leaves you open and everything, that leave that with their mouths wide open, just like shocked value there.
I think what's beautiful about them is they always put the story before themselves, and you don't always see that in other TV shows.
No.
Not to call them out. But
Acolyte.
Here... Acolyte, for sure. We called it out. We did it.
I'm not going to argue with you there.
We did the thing. Yeah. We did the thing. But Game of Thrones directors, they put the story before their own personal interest and before themselves, and it makes a world of difference. A world of difference.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think it's fitting, that there continues to be that level of like representation in both people in front and behind the camera, because it could show a perspective of like obviously some of the main protagonists and kind of the ones maybe not necessarily pulling the strings, because there's all these advisors in the hand and all that stuff, but the ones at the helm of this conflict are the mothers kind of trying to navigate around the conflict that sometimes is led by their sons, or it was the fathers. I think it's an interesting point of view whenever it comes down to these parallels between Alicent and Rhaenyra, right? And I think is having just anyone behind the crew, like being able to capture that from also like the female perspective, I think it's important, because I think more than what we saw in the original Game of Thrones series, like I think now we see that this perspective of, once again, the mother kind of trying to navigate around, sins of the father, sins of the sons, and just I think one of my favorite lines from Alicent was talking to her dad as the hand, saying that like if you continue to undermine my voice during these conversations, my sons are going to be deaf to my voice. And so I think it's once again, Alicent still seems to have a heart. She's still trying to avoid conflict, but part of that conflict is coming from people that are ignoring her. No, I know it's too late for sure.
But she's in denial.
I just like that perspective and how she delivered that. So yeah, just I think we're in for a great season once again. And they took their time with it for sure. Sometimes that's frustrating, but it seems like they're still on top of the game in terms of how they're handling the craft, and like you said, putting the story first. And I think we're gonna be pleased as fans.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then the next episode's directed by a woman, so we'll see how that one unravels here and everything. We're gonna end this episode as like ratings. We're gonna talk about ratings here. So ratings 1 out of 10, 10 being the highest. Kristen, what do you think? What's your rating right here?
Real quick, I wanted to correct myself. I misremembered Joffrey's death. I thought Joffrey died early on, but Joffrey actually dies way later as a teenager. So I misremembered that. But anyways, 1 out of 10. That book is dense. There's a lot of information to remember, so I'm sorry if I got some stuff wrong.
Oh, you're good.
But anyways, so 1 out of 10. I would say this was a pretty okay start. I would give it a 7.5 out of 10.
All right.
I was going to say I'm probably at a 7 or an 8 for myself. Pretty solid episode, though.
I'm gonna do a solid 7 here. Again, I just me and we were both wrong. I was like, and Kristen, of course, I didn't want her to be right. I was like, no, they better not open up with dialogue, and boom, we open up with dialogue. But it was a familiar place, Winterfell. I mean, familiar, a Stark. That's familiar, and I get it why they did it, and watching more behind the scenes stuff.
Look at all the episode ones; it's always the same formula.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, but I'm okay because it's building. That's the good thing.
Oh, yeah.
It was still entertaining.
If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, exactly, and it's still building and everything. It just we'll leave it at that. But I'm gonna give it a solid 7. Lex?
I think for me it's like 8. I think I'm perfectly fine with an 8. It's setting up the foundation for what's to come, and I think they did a good. I felt satisfied with like the reactions and kind of where they put us in the story to the end of last season. A preference I had, or a thing that I thought they were going to do, is like kind of film the direct reactions of it. But I think it was more powerful to show the after effect, which is already Rhaenyra in this lost trance of not even being able to begin the grieving process. So I think from a story perspective, I felt like they did the right job in picking that moment. And
even more so, they really put the point of view of the mother losing a son, and more they emphasized that more. They went more on depth on that, and I love that because a lot of TV shows don't really do that per se, and even more so with filming too, with movies and stuff, because unless it's really focused centered, I mean, it is centered on her, of course, but it really felt very organic and everything, and it felt very natural to see, and even more so, we saw the I didn't think we were going to see the dragon wing or any of that, and I thought that was really good, and I love that. Again, I'm obviously I don't love the grieving part of it, but I love how you get to really have those touches that the creators really did, and we're like, they're not just gonna say he died and all that stuff.
Rhaenyra, like they explained in the director commentary, which I encourage everyone to see. It's actually very insightful.
Oh yeah, we watch every episode of it.
The director explained how that was necessary for Rhaenyra to kind of go into that next stage, and then up next we're gonna have to see a father grieve a son lost.
She's gonna put Matt Smith on a leash now, which sucks. That's what it looks like. I'm all like, dude, and they did mention it already, and
he's gonna go into exile.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Yeah,
they've already said that in the trailer. For the rest of the season.
And so like even more so, it's like Matt Smith, even on the press junket, which was earlier this week, even said, "You're gonna see less of me." Is what it is. I was like, damn it. I was like, I wanted more of him.
I'd like more of him too, but I think it's necessary for the story.
I appreciate that they're realizing that, and they're not just hanging on to him for the name. No, like they're not just like, okay, well, we're going to rewrite the story so that we have this big name in the story. They're using him appropriately. Yeah.
They're not changing the character because he's a big actor. Yeah. I love that. I love that a lot, and it's really sticking to the lore and the source of the material. So I love that. Maybe not in the
story first.
Yeah, story first. Yeah, see what happens. All right, guys, thank you so much for making this a part of your day. Question is for you guys. What did you guys think? Little comments down below. Are you excited for House of the Dragon season 2? I know as much as we are, and let us know what your thoughts were. As always, I'm your host Ryan D. aka Ryan680,
and I'm Kristen,
and I'm Frankie.
This was Lex.
Have a good one, guys. See you at the movies. Latest.